one.
Good afternoon, family and friends. Welcome back to the Empowerment Exchange. Today, me and our co-host Clayton, we're going to talk about code switching, and particularly the weight that women carry and the pressure that Black men face and the battles, you fight within the workplace and society, really.
Yeah,
So,
I mean that,
conversation.
that code switching is new, and I'm
Well,
glad.
it's not new, Clayton. It's maybe people don't know what it's called, but we've been doing it forever.
hmm And
So,
and you know what, Sheila, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm glad. I am glad we're having this conversation today because Black men's code switches too. Not only Black women's code switches, Black men code switches too, in ways we don't always talk about. But we don't always talk about it. But the fact is that pressure on Black women, we don't talk about that, and it hit different from that Black woman than a Black man. And a lot of us brothers don't fully understand the weight all carried until we sit down and really listen. That's what we have to do. Be able to not hear what we're saying. You got to be able to listen to what these women are saying.
yeah, I agree. So I'm going to explain what code switching is. What this really is. I mean, it's something that some people are aware of it, but a lot of people aren't. But it's like, for example, when you walk into a room
hmm
and you instantly shift into a different mode. Had that happened to you?
Yep, yep.
You know,
That's true.
yes, I think it does happen to you because you could switch to professional mode in a second.
Right.
Because the people that you're around
hmm
can sometimes misread you.
That's
So
true.
around certain people, you switch to a different mode. So you may over smile, you may lower your tone in your voice,
True.
or or over explain yourself. So you don't seem like
Look,
harsh or anything like that.
look, I'm the happy go butterfly.
Right. Yeah. So it's
Identity of
like,
you. So
huh?
thank you for explaining who I am.
Yeah, you do it a lot, but it's tone management, is appearance coding. You go to certain place, you say, "Oh, I can't wear that. I gotta wear this."
hmm
Fit in. Is identity kind of like identity shifting, kind of
hmm
like they do. So you change your not your character, but sometimes your modes.
That's true.
You
And
talk a different way.
it is so funny that we own this conversation. I was telling Desmond, I worked around with him for many years and dean of student, and it called him GQ. You know what GQ is, right?
Mm-hmm. He
Always
dresses
clean,
well.
right, dresses well, speak well,
Mhm.
very professional. I was just telling them that's what people judge you. They look at your appearance, then they try to line your appearance up with your personality.
Right.
So we
They
were
they
talking
they
about it. It's funny that you just explained that appearance coding.
mm-hmm.
And I got to say that Black women don't just switch. They don't just switch how they talk. They switch how they exist. And to me, that's real talk. And
Well, why I'm gonna explain why we do it sometimes.
all right,
Because we always get judged on how we look, how we carry ourselves, and
that's true.
what
That is
we
true.
wear. Um, and bottom line is, Clayton, Black women are coded. You know,
It's true.
we're coded, and we have to navigate things different way than men.
Mhm.
But because we experience workplace bias,
Yes,
double standards, and kind of like survival instinct. We have to, we're labeled. As soon
yeah,
as we go into the workplace, we're labeled on how we carry ourselves, how we look, how we talk,
that's true.
what we wear, our hair, which I get into later on. But it's a lot of things
It
that's
is
called
kind of
coding.
thing. And people. I mean, for you all out there that are listening, please, we don't want you to listen. We want to hear what you want you to hear what we're saying. How black men and black women are being coded. How they can switch from one code to the other one. But we are here to make you aware of how the system is designed to do exactly what system. But if we form a group together and you listen to this and we become educated and train what is going on in the workplace. And so Sheila, as a man, I'm going to say this. We don't always see the invisible gymnastics our sisters are doing just to be allowed in the room. Can I don't know if a lot of people would understand that. Now, I don't know if you heard about this hair discrimination for black women and men. Did you hear about what happened in the prison? This Jamaican guy went to prison and he had, as part of his culture, they tied him down and they cut his hair.
What?
And he said, look, man,
that's his identity that's gone.
That's exactly. So now he got a lawsuit. He got a lawsuit in, and I think he got a good chance of winning it because if that's his culture, he wasn't misbehaving. They just wanted him to they thought he was like a threat. And so, again, that's what we talk about, coding. Black men coding, black women's coding. And, we talk about hair discrimination for women and men. Let me say this as a black man. They judge you by your color of your skin, your hair, the way you walk, the way you talk. But we get coded for our hair too, just like we just talked about. Did you know a lot of these black kids are going to white school? They are not allowed in that school unless they follow the code. You can't come in there with green hair, purple hair, and all this. And I can understand that. But to tell a person how this is what God gave you, your hair. Now, because you're going to tell me how I should wear it, what about up here, my education level? I respect you and do all these kind of things. So, but why am I get coded? And, we get coded for our hair too. Like we got those braids and we got those fades and we got those afros. That become a threat. All of it. The minute a brother walk in with a logo or some kind of logo on, you already been coded, whether you want to accept it or not. Folks start making assumptions. Your perception of being does not have to become a reality.
Right.
Just because I got long threads on or I act a certain way, that doesn't mean that I'm a threat to society. And when I say I'm them local braids and those afros there, I mean, they look like that's pretty much a grown act.
So, yeah. Some workplaces have had to change their requirements.
Well, why? Is it fit the needs
of the you shouldn't have to go through that because some people they want black men and women to wear their hair a certain way to fit in.
You're right.
It's all this is real. And I'm gonna just say something. My granddaughter, about 3 years ago, her mother does her hair in all nice styles and everything, very neat. And she had a white school teacher come up to her and talk. And she got to a school where she had to wear a uniform. He said, "Why is your hair parted that way? Is that a sign or something? That's not allowed." He said this to my granddaughter, and she cried. And she went home and told her parents, and that was the end of it because they went right up there to that school and that superintendent. But you talking about a kid that's in elementary school,
right? You
going up there and saying something and pointing at their head, over their head, telling them what sign is that?
Right.
She had her hair parted, different sections, and they didn't like it.
See, again, reception, assumption. As I said, that's the way they think. They don't understand that it's our culture, but they look at that as being a threat. And to me, I don't think it's you judge a person by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin. But don't you never think that those little black kids, they learn from high school. If they go into an integrated school, they observe, they see how white people treat them versus how they treat the white kids can come up there all around their desk and hug. Not all. Depends on the type of environment of school you actually go in.
Yeah, but my daughter got coded, for her name.
You're right. To get coded for your name.
Coded
Okay.
for her name.
Now, if I told you that my last name was, what are you going to say? Rivera. If I tell you my last name is Rivera, what are the first thing going to go to your name? What kind of
No, it's Spanish descent.
From a Spanish descent.
But what if you're black? Or what if you're white?
Hey, what up? Okay, give me an example. Okay, now they know sometimes the way a black man come off, either you wasn't raised correctly or you don't understand English, because what you're talking is broken English. You come here talking about what up, but they already know that you've been on the street, and it's not like Monsieur, how you doing, Miss Shirley? I'm doing fine, and here I come along. Hey, what up? So,
well, I think right there, I think it's the tone more than anything.
Yeah, that's true. It could be the tone.
And that's how they define you. Mm-hmm. Because I can say what up.
Yeah.
Like, it depends on the person. Oh, she cool, whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly. They can think you cool.
You can say, what up? And what they think about you. I don't like him. He kind of
ghetto
or whatever. They give you a narrative, basically. But the name discrimination, it hits you before you even walk in. And this is what happened to my daughter, I told you, when she was applying for jobs. Mm-hmm. But Black people names are used in ways that people don't want to admit. And sometimes it's a name-based discrimination. They don't even know you, but they judge you just by your name, and they assume that you're not professional.
Mm-hmm. So you say basically when you go to these HR organizations apply for a job, they're already gonna put you in put a code in there under your name.
They're gonna put you in another step.
See, they're gonna put you in a totally different category. But see, all this stuff goes under the radar. And this is good that we are educating people to understand code switching applied to all minorities. Right up under your eyes. Everything that you look that works in your organization, you think that they love you. Look at the hiring, and let's look at the disparity between Black women and Black men.
Remember, I told you my daughter she did a trick and she used her middle name instead of her first name. And then her resume got hits. And their recruiter told her, he said, the reason why you're not getting any hits because you're using your first name.
Oh, see? Yeah, Shaquana. So that's an unusual name. So, well, why don't you go into the code? We know who you are. We know you Sheila daughter. We know you Black. We know you ain't Black. But anyway, that's another story. Let's get back on the story about name discrimination.
What about Deshaun Clayton?
So, Sheila, can we stick to the subject?
It is a subject. Look at the script. Your brother named Deshaun.
Deshaun. I mean, that kind of scratched my neck. You know what I mean? Okay. A brother named Deshaun might get judged. Now, if you saw, I'm gonna see how biased that you. If you went out there and you was in Walmart, how would you judge me if I walk up to you and say, "Hi, how you doing?" How would you judge me?
I turn my head and like, something wrong with them.
See, that's discrimination. Okay, why would you turn
your
head?
No, it's not.
What?
I think you'd be kind of soft, nice.
That's what most people are going to think. You're right. You're absolutely
right. I mean, that's you, but you don't know what a person is until you get to talk to that person, really.
That's true.
That's just an assumption. Especially if I know where you're from.
Mm-hmm. But the sister named Latoya, and I'm in, she get judged for the name and the gender behind it. Now let's talk about this a little bit. Latoya. To me, that's a common name.
What if I had a name like Betty? Do you think I'd be discriminated against
Betty.
on a resume?
Betty.
Betty, Mary, Susan.
I think those are common names.
Yeah. Do you think that would be treated the same way?
No, I think it'd be treated different. Because
okay. So just let me do this analogy. If I was going for a job and you've never seen my face,
mm-hmm.
and the resume had like Susan, Mary, Martha, or Betty. Mm-hmm. It depends with Betty, but those are names, common names that they say, oh, okay. But when you get a name like Shakita,
yes, you're right.
Say Deshaun,
right?
Even Marcus, sometimes,
right.
Those names where it's got two syllables, it's like
Shonda.
Yeah, Shonda. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, right.
Especially Black women, your name Clayton, so you can go either way.
I've never seen a woman named Clayton.
No, but I'm saying Clayton.
All right. Hold on. Let's use that for example.
It's not one of those names where you put in the separate pile.
If you walk up to me in a bar as a woman, being nice, hey, what's your name? Clayton. What was the first thing you gonna say? All right, come on, be real now. Don't try to get behind social media, pretend like you're not gonna say it. That's all right. Let's continue. I know where you're going with it.
I'm not gonna say it. Especially if you got leather pants. But I'm saying we get judged before we were interviewed,
and that's in a lot of instances.
Yeah, we don't want to lower our standards because somebody can't accept who we are. True. And sometimes you have to silence yourself. And this is code switching to make other people comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, have you been into a situation where you didn't call a person name correctly and they corrected you? How did they correct you? In a negative way or positive?
Sometimes negative, sometimes positive. Because I had a lot of young troops and all kind of names and stuff. Mm-hmm. And what I would do to be common courtesy, I would ask them how to pronounce their name.
That would be the correct.
Not nothing against them, but I don't want to offend them by pronouncing their name incorrectly because I got a little accent anyway. They think it's right. Not that way, Miss Thomas. You pronounce it like this. I'm like, okay. But I don't get defensive on that, I just laugh it off. I'm like, oh, I thought it was such and such. Some people are very sensitive when it comes to that, but I'm not one of those type of people.
Yeah, you're right. They are very sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people out there who are very sensitive
mm-hmm.
to these type of issues. What about the you know anything about the emotional and the spiritual cost of all of this?
It does take an emotional toll sometimes on you when you have to kind of change your tone or your approach to things or communicate a certain tone because people in the workplace think you're a mad Black woman or something.
You're right.
That's and they put that, and I've had that happen to me. Sometimes when you speak up and you say things that they don't want to hear, you're labeled. You're and right. It's why is she saying that? She shouldn't be saying that. But people expect you to be on their resume.
That's true.
On how they want you to be. And I say, let them think that, but I'm still going to be who I am. Mm-hmm. Some people can take you for who you are, and some people want you to be somebody they want you to be.
And but once they start controlling your mind and your body, that's where they want you at anyway. But you have to be the CEO of your own life. And that's where emotion and spiritual cost. That to me, that's the cost we have to pay. And so when you talk about, what about grief that comes with speaking it? So,
I couldn't hear you. What you say?
on that, you were going to talk about emotional and spiritual cost.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we need to expand and do that again because that's kind of hit me too.
Really? Which way?
Emotional. And so if you can explain that a little bit, repeat that way I can process in my mind.
What when you when you silence yourself to get somebody to be acceptance of you or what you're saying, or somebody ain't gonna never accept you because of your skin color.
That's
and
true.
Who you are.
You're right.
But it's in the workplace everywhere. They might not, and you're talking about the military, hair was a big thing for me, it's like, is that authorized? Or
right.
I had shirts hang over my top of my head. And I'm like, can you, and they were in my space. I'm like, can you get away from me? Susie over here got black hair and colored her hair blonde.
Right.
But when I put a little bit of highlight in my hair, it's out of regulation.
You're right. I mean, it is a shame. Like I said, the military was good for that. When they used to, when you call y'all whack, all of a sudden you had to keep that hair, no matter how long your hair, you got to keep it on that bun.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look, to me, that is discrimination. And to me, that is cold because they always find a way to make excuses for the black person. And me, Sheila, I got to be honest with you, as a man, we don't always see that grief, but we also see the strength, but not the strain. And to me, that code switching beyond work, I'm glad that you did the research and all the stuff on this because it's awareness to let people know this is one step forward for you to be aware of what's going on. Black men, they switch coding on us, black women especially. So black women are expected to be, they expect to be everything, Sheila. That's what they expect to be. But not too much of anything. I think most people understand that. We're talking about church expectation. We're talking about family role. We're talking about public safety code. I don't think a lot of men stop and process what these black women go through, dealing with the job, dealing with the home care, washing, making sure that the kids get fed. And so to me, there's a lot of social media pressure.
Oh yeah. Let me throw this in here. I don't think it's all black people that have to do it.
That's true.
What if you are biracial and you're very light skinned, but you hang around blacks? Mm-hmm. So don't you think that person has to code switch?
Yeah, you're right. There's no doubt.
Because what you gonna say? Where she come from? Who is she? How do you know?
White daddy. Oh, they're gonna size you up. They're gonna code you.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's not just black women. You could be multicultural. And it's the same thing. Because it might be the way you talk, the way you pronounce your words. I had a guy that worked for me. They cross-trained him, involuntarily cross-trained him into weather. And he had a thick African accent. Mm-hmm. So, and I was trying to get him out of going to school because I'm like, that's not something he really wants. He's very smart. But at the end of the course, they say, well, we don't think he can be a weatherman, because they got to brief the wing commander every day, when the plane's flying. Right. We can't understand his accent. I said, well, I told you that from the get-go. And now you done made him go through this course and feel like he's out of place. And because you're saying now that you can't understand him, but you knew what his name was, so.
Oh yeah, I mean, you have experience, especially like being in a position that you was in the military, and especially the position that you held at code switching, because you just like I said, you had to fight for all if they was good. But
I had to fight for a lot of NCOs because I had NCOs from all different cultures, and if they and they were smart, but if somebody didn't say, well, I can't understand what he's saying, you need to send somebody else to the meeting. Because I had a Russian guy, and I'm like, well, you're gonna have to get used to it because he's speaking English. It's just that he's not going to speak it the way you used to hearing it.
Right.
He's going to have a thick accent. So I had to force people to, this is my smartest guy. He's going to come and he's going to brief you. Because these commanders and supervisors, no, I don't want him to brief because I can't understand him. I would hurt a person if I told them they couldn't brief because somebody don't understand them. I say, no, you go brief.
Right. That's good. That's encouragement, empowerment.
Brief. And that is code switching. And it should never be used where a person don't feel, it does something to their self-esteem, like the culture fluency, the
right.
Communication, and you have to be a certain way. So you got to navigate yourself through these people, when you're on a job, and it's not fair.
And you said something, so that code switching is much more like a tool.
Yeah.
They actually use, but it's
kind of like a mindset where I can go ham on somebody, but then I could be like, I always tell people, I said, do you want the Sergeant Thomas or you want Mrs. Thomas?
Right.
If I go Sergeant Thomas, you might be in trouble.
Right. So they are distinguish which one.
Yes. You have to, sometimes when you're trying to get your point across to people and they don't want to listen to you, you may have to switch your tone.
And that strategy communication and that cultural influence, that's all around in the workplace and everything. Just like say you had to go to bat for the Russian guy, even though we understood what he was saying. He may not speak in the way that we want him to speak, but I think as long as a person's speaking clearly and understanding whether he had, that's just like me going over there to another country. And I'm just coming over there speaking. They know what I'm saying, but it don't come out right.
Right.
And so this is the Black veterans and military, the battle over hair.
Yeah, we talked about that. And the military has a long history of how Blacks should wear their hair. They changed the 3510 so much that it's like now they wear their hair any kind of way. They wear the ponytails all the way down the middle of their back now.
Yeah, that's and you showed me.
Before, like we said, we had to have our hair up, and a lot of women in basic training cut their beautiful hair because even if it was hanging a little bit over your collar, a little bit. When I was in pickup delivery, a little bit. I'm out there in the heat, sweating, jumping on and off the trucks, driving tractor trailers, and they're like, "Your hair is falling down." I'm like, "It's hot out here. I'm taking my hair off." You didn't say that to the girl with the blonde hair.
We've been discriminated all the time, right in front of us. And that like veterans and military battle over here, if you could, expand upon that, because believe me, there's a lot of us that serve, but a lot of this stuff is awareness. This is a lot of stuff that we don't realize that was going on because it kept it from us. And there's a lot of us missed out on job because we didn't understand code switching.
Right. Right. Because we spoke our mind, and if we spoke what we really wanted to say, then be like, no, she might say something we won't want her to say. Or she's too straightforward. Or
That's true. No, oh no, man, she ain't talking like the rest of them.
Right.
She's a little smart ass. And you could be right.
I wasn't smart ass. I was direct.
Right. Then that's what they didn't like.
No. Because I was they didn't like it because I was a black woman. But if I was a different color, they would say, I mean, even if I was a white woman, they probably wouldn't still like it.
Mhm.
But if it comes from a man and you say the same thing that I said, it's accepted.
You're right. That is absolutely true. And I like the way you're sending this out here. And when I served, the message was very, very clear. Your hair must fit the standard, 35-10 standard. But the standard wasn't built with black men in mind. It wasn't built with black men in mind.
You had to pack your hair under your hat.
Yeah, let me tell you something. I pack my hair all the time. And when I got off work, people said, man, how did you hide all that hair? I took me a pick and picked it up. And every time I put the uniform, they thought I had a haircut. But it just said I packed it and put me one of the nets around.
Yeah.
So again, what black veterans experience is they force haircuts. They punish for natural text.
Oh, natural texture of your hair. Oh my gosh, yes.
Isn't that? I mean, and they talking about culture erase. And I think about a lot of black men goes in that military. They have shaving problem.
Oh, let me tell you. I could tell you stories on that. I mean, some people tried to get over on the system, but I had men that had shaving that you call it I forgot how you pronounce it, but
no, it's where
they have bumps on their face.
Yep.
And I would have to tell them to go get you a shaving waiver. And I said, carry it on you at all times. I said, because if you don't, somebody's going to stare and look at you and go back and tell the supervisor about you, but they won't talk to you and say, do you have a shaving waiver? Right now, the military with this Trump administration, it's a lot of black guys that got to get out.
I know.
They're not giving them shaving waivers because of that anymore. They say if they cannot fix their problem, Clayton, within a year, they got to go. And I saw a picture of a guy that went to get laser treatment. He was really dark skinned. He came back with white burns all over his face and underneath his chin. Wow. He needs to sue the government because they are putting these black men in a corner. Every black man don't need a shaving waiver, but it's some that really need the shaving waiver.
Sheila, I don't know if you've heard the latest, even this morning. Did you know that they done held promotion up on all the black officers and senior enlisteds in the military? It came out this morning, Pete Hegseth, and they say promotion strictly for black men, black women.
Well, my niece just made lieutenant colonel.
See, it was on the news this morning. They saying we got to get rid of Pete Hegseth because this clown is getting out of control. Like I say, a man is
this issue with black people doing what they supposed to do.
Right.
They're doing the same thing that other people do. Their counterparts do even better. Right. And you don't want them to be in a position of leadership.
Yep. And I totally understand. And how a man's supposed to make tight call, with and just to lay flat. And we are being punished because of biological. We're being punished.
But that's code switching too.
That is code switching. That's absolutely right.
I mean, because of your identity and who you are, they hold things against you because they want you to fit their resume, Clayton.
That's true.
How I'm gonna say this, some people might get hurt by it, but you know how we used to say some people, is that a black guy? He act like he white, you know. You try to talk to him. I've dealt with people like this, officers, and I'm like, does he know his culture?
I already know. I've witnessed it.
You could tell them, especially the officers, because they try to, they code switch a lot because they fit in strictly with, they brothers and stuff, but it's like they kind of standoffish.
And the funny thing, Sheila, about this for black men code and switching, talking about for safety and survival. For black men, code switching often They often start with one thing: safety. And what is that? Voice modulation.
Give me an example.
Uh, they want you to change your voice to what they want you to say. When they say code switching, often start with one thing, safety, voice modulation.
You change your voice to kind of fit in with
Right.
what they want to hear and the tone and everything. Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, exactly. And then you look at yourself and say, wait a minute. Then they checking your body language control. Oh, look at
Yes. You know what? That always got me in trouble because you know what my eyes,
Yep.
when somebody's not telling the truth, or you know, they say a lot of things out there, but they be lying, and I'll be like, and I got called out one time for that. I got called out one time. One guy was briefing the commander, and he was selling a bunch of crap to the commander, and I rolled my eyes, and the colonel saw me. He said, Sheila, is he telling the truth?
Oh, so y'all must have agreed when he looked at you without none of y'all trying to at each other.
He called me out, and I say, well, sir, I think it's some more steps he can add to it. You know, so yeah, they want, you know, they call you out and stuff like that. And
you talk about over explaining action. You know, what you mean by over explaining action?
Because they make you feel stupid when you say something and don't want to hear what you have to say. So then you try to explain yourself, or somebody will step in and explain for you, but it makes you look crazy, like you don't know what you're talking about.
That is
why
true.
do I have to go in depth explaining myself when he said this and you understood it?
Right. See, again, that's code switching. It just let you know. It's all
but, you know, even the way I'm talking now,
right,
can be like, oh, her tone is too harsh, or you know, I've been called an angry Black woman. I've been told I intimidate people. I'm like, why? I said, I'm not shrieking to fit your label. But they label you as what they, I mean, kids in school get labeled.
That's
you know, true. The different labels. The teachers label kids.
You're right. I mean the label kid. Now, do you think in predominantly white schools, integration schools, do you think predominant people that get labeled is the Black kids? Even though they might be labeled by their own culture?
I think I know my son experienced that. You know, especially working with different cultures and stuff. They get labeled, and they speak solidly around him in their own little groups.
Yeah. But you know, I mean, what about, you know, how Black kids women misunderstood?
You're breaking in and out for some reason, but
go ahead.
Sometimes Black women feel like our brothers don't see our pressure.
I agree with that.
You know, especially, okay, just take, for example, if you're married, for example, you know, when you at home, you talk a different way. When you go to work, you talk another way. And sometimes when you try to come home and explain what happened, they don't understand it.
That's true.
What you have to do to survive through the day, especially if you're in a position where you're always in these meetings, these important meetings, making mission essential decisions.
Right.
You know, so you know, and I always had to go extra. I always told my people, you know, I say, give them more than what they're gonna ask. Give them so much information, overload them that they don't have any questions for you. You have to really go into detail and explain everything when somebody else can just say, yeah, that'll work, but they didn't answer the question.
That's true.
Women are more thorough in getting their point across. Some men, they just accept what they say.
Right. And I think that's what you got to be thorough. And so, like I say, they got this switching and the fear of, a little form of fear. But sometimes Black men feel like the sisters don't see. They don't see our way. But the truth is, we both carrying weight, whether you're a black woman or a black man. We just carry it in just a different way.
I've
And
seen it though in the military. You know, I've seen it. I've seen it not in the military. I've seen how if you're a quiet black man, they think something wrong with you that you're not speaking up. But then if you're a man that always talking, they think something wrong with you. You know why he gonna say something anyway. You know he not gonna like it because your tone's gonna come across different. But then when you're a quiet black man, you may be smart on the other hand, and you don't say nothing. They look at you as being weak.
that's true.
You know.
But you know what? One thing I can say: black men and black women, they must mandatory. They must support each other. Because if you don't support each other, as long as that the system is keeping you divided, but as long as you sticking together, it's hard for them to keep you divided. But once they separate, just like wild animals, once they separate from the herd, he's doomed.
But Clayton, I've experienced where I'm the flight chief, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I say something, I had a commander say, well, I want to hear what Chief has to say. And Chief is a white man, but it's my area of expertise. So it's bad. And then even sometimes your own brothers, you be like, did you hear what he said to me? And you know, right. And it's like, I'm validating. I want you to validate what I'm going through and listen without saying, hey, just listen to me without being defensive, you know, and right. We have to learn how to validate each other's experience and what we go through. And
this comes by information and understanding each other, what each other are dealing with in this type of environment. And so just like I say, you know, validate each other's experience. Validate, but it's not going to cost you anything. You know, you got to advocate in rooms where the other isn't present. You know,
yeah.
Create a safe space, because Sheila, a lot of time, everything that shine is not gold. Advocate in a room where others isn't present. But then again, there's someone in that room may be your enemy. Because unless we advocate for each other and we start listening without defensive, our problem is that we always got a defense up. Put your defense down and listen to what we are saying. Because as long as you got your defense up, you don't hear nothing. So we got to create a safe space in order for us to support each other.
I agree. I mean, we need to understand really what each other go through and validate what they're trying to say, or, you know, because sometimes they just don't want to hear what you have to say. And you really have to come across in a tone where, you know, this is real. You know, your tone has to change, or you, the angry black woman, that's been known in the workplaces. They'll call you the angry black woman when somebody don't agree with you, or you don't agree with somebody and you trying to get them to understand where you're coming from. It's hard.
It is. You know, I mean, let me summarize it by the future. The world where we don't have to switch.
Why you say that?
Well, the goal isn't to code switching. The goal isn't to code switching better. The goal is to build space where we don't have to.
But how we do that?
How we do it? I'm glad you said that. We got to create a safe environment. We got to validate each other.
But how do you do that? When you say create safe environment, are you talking about us to each other?
Us to each other.
Sometimes we can't do that if we're in a workplace. How are we going to do that? Not unless we have our own little.
That's true. I understand it.
Because, you know, especially in the military, and you know how it works is say something to the wrong person, they're going to say something to the next person, and they're going to take it to what, and next thing you know, you are coded. You know, so
Okay, let me ask you this. You in the workplace environment was a big company. When you see during lunchtime, all black guys get together and have lunch, do you think they'd be cool? Every day, there's nothing but blacks over here meet at certain places, eat in this area over here. Do you think they're gonna be looked at as being a threat?
oh yeah, like separated. I mean, you can go to an academy graduation. I've seen it where one side of the auditorium is all black.
That's true. I've witnessed.
Even when you go to parties and stuff like that, you towards and they taught us this in the military. You learn we're apt to navigate towards people who are more like us. You know,
You're right.
so you go towards each other. You come together.
Right.
You
And
know,
in many ways, Sheila, I do think the military is a cohesive organization. Compare with the outside world and the civilian world, I think is especially when you're active duty, you establish different communication among race, religion, sex, and national origin.
right? Because as a manager, you can't have any bias.
You can.
You gotta treat people fairly, and you have to be consistent. But
The word is consistent.
yes, consistent and fair. I always say treat people fair and consistent. Be consistent with how you treat people
That's true.
because they're people. But spaces like where our hair, our names, our voices, our emotions, they're not liabilities, but they're our gift.
Exactly.
And so we shouldn't have to change ourselves to fit somebody else's narrative of what they want us to be.
That's true.
I'm saying again, I'm not changing to fit anybody's narrative to be who they want me to be. Why would you do that?
Right.
You're taking away your self-identity.
Mhm.
But we do code switch and we don't think about it. But all of us, I think we do it and don't realize it at times. Where if you're talking, for example, if you're talking to a child, you may change your tone. Okay, let's do this, and you may get nice or you may get mad.
Depends on which way you go with this.
Yes, and if you're going to the school because your son been acting up in school,
Mhm.
parents gonna get mad and go off at the teacher, and some parents gonna say, "I'll take care of it," and
Right.
they'll make it home. They get home, they switch.
So, I don't need to return back to hands of time. Sheila, 'cause I'm still suffering from. My mother tried to assassinate me several times, and but the Lone Ranger rides again. I'm still here. So what up? So,
I bet you code switched in, didn't you?
let me tell you something. My mother, there was only one switching. A switch on your ass or a switch on your back. Which
It's
one?
not that type of conversation, Clayton.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Oh, you're right. You're right.
I'm gonna say a prayer for you. My my prayer is that we learn how to show up as ourselves without apology. That's the bottom line.
Okay. Would you say your prayer was it again?
Sometimes maybe it shouldn't do it that way, but my prayer is for people to show up as who they are.
You're right.
Without apology. But it's a certain way when you around people, especially on a job where you have to, you can't go off like you normally go off in your own house or people
It's about respect and mannerism.
Yes.
And I appreciate your prayer, but my prayer is that we build a world where our children don't have to sink to survive. And that's what it is. They are sinking right now because of the way the system is designed and the way we are programmed to not to work together. We programmed to work against or hate each other because of what race, religion. But I'm going to say this year, it's been an eye opening, and I hope it's been an eye opening for a lot of you all out there who are listening. Understand, it's in your workplace right now. right up under your eye. You think that the system of injustice in the workplace is fair, you are being misled. When you get hired,
In your church too,
you're right. In your
in
church,
the community.
right.
It's all over. You go into a restaurant,
You're right. That is
you
real.
look different.
Mhm. So for all of you all out there, we are asking you to make comments and submit to our channel because we are only going to bring you facts. We're going to bring you the truth. And we're going to only be talking to those who that's unable, those in the nursing home, those in veterans. They are unable to speak for themselves. So there where me and my co-host Sheila, that's where we come in. We're going to give you update information. We're not shoe shucking and show nothing. We're going to be present you with real talk, real fact. So again, you can look on our YouTube channel, and all you got to do is look at all our videos. Look on the Instagram, look up on the Facebook, and please submit to our channel, make comments. That's how we're going to build our podcast. But until next time, Sheila, you have anything else you want to close out with?
I have a reflection that I need the people, the listeners, to do and ask themselves, what part of yourself have you been hiding? And who in your life needs to understand why?
Wow. Hope y'all process that. If it's a little bit above your head, next time, comment, we'll break it down a little bit more simple. But for me, Sheila, thank God that you was a black kid, so, and we both were in the military. So I think for myself, nothing satisfied me than to spread the word. Put the word out to those because right now, again, if you look under the news today, all black people promotion are held back. And he made that statement this morning. It's all over the news. And
well, we're going to talk about that.
We're going to talk about it. Because we got a whole lot of stuff to talk about. But we're going to keep you up to date with real facts and real truth. But until next time, may God bless you. May God keep you. Don't forget to do one or two things. You pray before you go to bed. And you pray when you wake up. Thanks God at night for protecting you. Thank God for waking you up for another brand new day. May God bless you. May God keep you. Adios.